Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to another episode of Essay Tips of Business Schools brought to you by Crack Admission. So my name is Arijit, I'm one of the co-founders of Crack Admission and I'm here to speak today about the Emory Goizueta School of Business. How do you create an impactful application for that school? And during the session today I'll be talking about the different components of the application, the different essays, and how do you articulate yourself in the best possible manner in each of these essays, right? So without further ado, let's move on. So Emory Goizueta, situated in Atlanta in US, is a very, I would say, very close-knit school. It has about 150 odd people in its cohort, good for roles like consulting, product management, and a lot of other high impact roles. Right? So since it's a very close school, the school focuses a lot on collaboration, teamwork, diversity, and these are some of the aspects which they want to gauge from the application as well, right? Because these are the guiding principles of that school: collaboration, teamwork, leadership, diversity, right? So the school has in its application, the school has 3 regular essays or 3 essays where you need to put textual content and 1 video essay. So we'll go one by one on each of these topics. The first essay topic which the school has, it talks about that it requires applicants to talk about their short and long-term career goals, right? So short and long-term career goals, and how are these goals related to what they have done in the past? So how have their experiences essentially encouraged them to pursue such a goal? Right. So again, it's very important question for the admission community to evaluate whether you as an individual will get the maximum out of the school or not, or how realistic are you about what the school can provide, what the school cannot provide, and what sort of job prospects are you looking for. So typically when people do an MBA, they look for 3 different things from an MBA. In terms of career, they either look for a location change, an industry change, or a functional change. So having all of 3 of them at one go is difficult. So you should ideally focus on any 2 of these aspects, right? So in terms of short-term goals, you should talk about what sort of career do you foresee for yourself right after the business school, and to do well in this career, what sort of skill sets do you require? Right. So, for example, if somebody wants to move from software development to management consulting, you should list down in your head. You should first list down what are the skill sets a management consultant is supposed to have. Right. A good way to do that is to talk with alumni, good talk with people who are already in consulting. Right. And then you should think about what are the skill sets. Out of those skill sets, which of these skill sets do you already possess? Right. So, and the difference is ideally something which the MBA program would give you. In this case, the Goizueta would give you. So here, if you were able to stitch this story, you can tell, hey, these are the experiences and skill sets I already possess. To be good at my short-term career goal, I want these experiences and skill sets, and the bridge I want to get through Goizueta. Right. It's important to be practical and feasible in terms of your goals. Like every admission committee looks at your application from a recruitment perspective as well, especially for international students, right? Because you have a short window to get a job. So if you are not recruitable, then the school would potentially think that there is some red flag in you, and you are potentially not sure about how the school will add value to you, right? So it's important to show a transition. It's okay that you want to show a transition in your career from now to what you want to do post MBA. Everyone wants to transition. That's why they're spending time and effort. But again, that transition should be relatable. Relatable not only to the admission committee, but think in terms of a recruiter. If a recruiter is coming to hire somebody for a product management role, they should see some of the characteristics of product manager which you already possess. You can't say all of these characteristics I'll get from the MBA program. Right? So you should be able to, in this essay, you should be able to articulate what skill sets you bring to the table already and what skill sets are missing in you. In terms of long-term goal is a place where you can be a little abstract and you can show a vision, more of vision in terms of creating an impact, of doing things which right now you do not know how to achieve them, but you do want to achieve them. For example, if somebody says, I want to make the world, don't be as abstract by saying that I want to make the world a much safer place, but rather if you stitch the story saying that I want to make or products, technology products, which would aid governments as well as citizens to improve the security and safety of their public spaces and the private spaces. If that's something you want to do in the long term, it's okay. In the short term, again, you should be showing something which is relatable to this long term career goal, right? So it should not be that in the short term you want to be like potentially a strategy management consultant. In the long term you want to do this, right? So this seems a little off. So try to relate your short term and long term at least to some extent. The relatability between your past and immediate future short term goals is more high. It should be higher, and the relatability between the long term goals and short term goals should still be there, if not very precise, right? So that's the first essay topic. The next essay topic is all about leadership. It talks about the founder of the school, the program, who's also was the founder of Coca-Cola. He was said in the board of Coke for a long period of time. So he talks about principal leadership and how that leadership experience has influenced you as an individual, right? So here it's very important to know that you need to talk about just one example, and you need to talk about an example. You cannot be generic, saying that, hey, I possess this leadership. I am an autocratic leader, democratic leader, collaborative leader. No. So all of these things are fine, but you have to prove them through examples. And in the examples, it's important to showcase the impact you were able to create because of this leadership role you played, right? So again, the school does not bind you to talk about either personal or professional. It's up to you. It's an open canvas, so you can choose what picture you want to paint. Is up to you. You can choose to either talk about a leadership example from your personal life or a professional life, right? And again, those leadership things which you say, if you choose professional life, right, it should not be a replica of what you've already mentioned in your CV. Right? In your CV, if you have mentioned that I created a go-to-market strategy which potentially helped in the launch of the product and increase the sales by 3x in the first 6 months or something. So it's already mentioned in the CV. So don't mention the exact same thing you already mentioned in the CV, because you have limited real estate space, and ideally you have to showcase as many characteristics and traits about yourself in the application, right? So yeah, so that's, I mean, in terms of leadership, you also have to show in that you have to conclude this essay by talking about how this example or this particular example you're talking about, how has that influenced you as an individual, right? For example, if you took out an example, like for example, somebody I worked with last year talked about how he had to he was working with the government sector, and there were certain bureaucratic challenges or bottlenecks he had to overcome, right? So, and all of them were not necessarily by a given path. So he had to navigate his way across these bureaucratic challenges. At the same point of time, make sure that he sounds diplomatic, and he was diplomatic, and he did not do anything which is illegal or which is unethical, right? So how do you do that, right? So again, you have to get something approved from, let's say, somebody from the government office without being pushy, without being unethical. But still, at the same point of view, you've got this, get the thing done. And so that's a leadership skill. And what you got, like potentially what the person got out of this experience is the fact that, hey, situations can be demanding, but I have the skill set, like inherently I have the skill set to work around my situations, different situations. Another skill set he can showcase, or personality trait he can showcase from this example is, I'm good with different kinds of people who are like me at the same point of time, and more importantly, people who are very different from me. I know how to manage relationships. Through this example, you can talk about how did you manage relationships, work your way around without hurting the sentiments or doing anything unethical, right? So that's the part about how did that influence you as an individual. Now the third question talks about what are specific aspects of the Goizueta program you are looking to leverage the most, right? So any business school is like a grand buffet, right? So all of you have gone to buffets, I'm sure, like hog food and buffets, right? In a buffet, as you would recollect, that there are a lot of options, right? There's a Chinese counter, there's an Indian counter, there's a continental counter, right? And you name it and you have an option. In fact, for each of these cuisines, you will have multiple other sub options under there, right? So typically there are a lot of aspects which in a parallel world in the business school, again you will have a lot of options or avenues to leverage. These avenues can be as evident as the academic courses and the professors. Those are very evident, right? On the face that you learn corporate strategy, you learn finance, you learn ABCD courses, right? These are very evident, right? But beyond that, there are other aspects of the program or the school. For example, any offsites that the school does with the cohort, right? If the school does anything which is like, if the school has started something like a Premier League, right? A small group of people from different, within the cohort itself, dividing into multiple groups, and they internally fighting it out for a sports competition, right? So if these things are something which attract you, for example, the school does a lot of industry collaborations, live projects with organizations, right? So if these are things which really attract you, then you should mention as that these specific aspects out of the buffet I'm looking at. These are the food items I like to eat, because these are the food items. For example, this is a food item I probably might not find in my part of the world, right? So it's example, going on a hiking trip with complete strangers, something which I'll probably not do in my day-to-day life, right? So that's a food item you'll not find in your day-to-day, like in your normal regular meal. Another thing can be something which would potentially take you a lot of time to learn. For example, if you want to get into consulting, to figure out the nuances of different industries and to figure out the nuances of consulting, you'll probably take a lot of time to do independent research and then talk with people and figure out. Here, being part of a club like consulting club, here you will get access to people who either have done consulting in the past, so they can share their opinions with them how the thing is done in a real life, or people who are like you, who also want to get into the field of consulting. Right? So again, there'll be this homogeneous heterogeneous mixture of people, and you will be able to learn a lot from them in a very expedited amount of time, which otherwise you would have taken a longer time to achieve. So specific aspects of the program, you should definitely do a research. And how do you find out specific aspects of the program? Of course, there's a secondary research in terms of the blogs and the website and stuff, right? Again, open to everyone. However, I encourage all the people who are applying to the Emory program to talk with alums. That's something which we do at Track Admission. One of the value adds we bring to the table is we connect a current applicant with one of our alums. At Track Admission, we've worked with about 500 plus people over these last 5 years. So we have alums in different Track Admission alums in different business schools, right? That's what we do. Try to map people with these alums so that they can get a first-hand exposure and understanding of the school provides. However, you can still do it on your own without Track Admission. Of course, you can do it. Reach out to people on LinkedIn, right? You will figure out Emory LinkedIn profile, Emory Goizueta MBA LinkedIn profile. You will find a list of all people. Out of those people, figure out the ones whose profile seems to be similar to yours, right? Majority wise. No two profiles are equally alike, but just find out profiles are similar to yours, right? And also find out, right, among them also trying to find out people whose career goal or the career path they have taken right now is similar to the career path you would also want to take. Like if you want to become a brand manager at HUL, right, or brand manager at ITC, brand manager at Kellogg, right? So Kellogg's, so you figure out people who have gone into FMCG brand management and try to talk with these people. Figure out from their perspective how did the program help them, different aspects of the program help them. And it's very important in this essay to not only talk about academic benefits of the program, but talk about more of extracurricular benefits which it's absolutely specific that Goizueta only can give you, no other school can give you. So Goizueta specific elements you have to talk about. Generally, like a corporate strategy is great in different parts of the world or different MBA schools, but something specific which Goizueta gives is what you have to highlight. And the best way to do this is homework, and the best way to do this homework too is to talk with alums. So these are the 3 essay topics. Beyond that, there's an optional essay topic as well, the textual essay topic. Typically, the optional essay topics should be used by applicants only if they feel that there is something which they have not covered in the rest of the application. You should not use this optional essay topic to talk about something which you feel like, hey, let me talk about an NGO experience. Let me talk about a volunteer experience. If it is so important to you, you should have covered it in your leadership essay. right, or somewhere else, right? You should not leave it to the optional essay. So that's something which adcoms understand, and they will ignore the weightage or not give a lot of weightage to the optional essay if you are talking about stuff which otherwise could have been covered in the one of the primary essays. Yes, what do you cover in optional essay? You can talk about stuff like a low GMAT or a GRE score, change in career, right? You can change in career or a break in career. You can also talk about something which and something you probably you need financial assistance, right? Because again, this is not the right place to talk about financial assistance, but if you have gone in your journey where you have sought financial assistance at different parts of your professional personal journey, talk about that, right? So that the school knows that, hey, this guy is looking for scholarship and I should be giving that scholarship to this person because he has explicitly said out, hey, I need that scholarship, right? So yeah, these are the stuff which you're talking about optional essay. Last but not the least, and I think it's a very interesting essay, is the video essay. So video essay is a self-produced, self-made essay, which again you nobody is moderating you. You can open up your laptop, your iPad, your mobile phone, and record a video on a prompt which will be given to you impromptu. Right? So you, of course, you can prepare for prompts which are more specific to you. What about your career goals, your leadership experiences, your failures and successes, your people whom you admire in life, right? So challenges you face, right? These sort of topics can be asked in the video essay. Alternatively, they can be topics on broader aspects such as world politics and war, right? So again, education system and a remote education system, a hybrid model of teaching, right? So these are some of the generic questions that can be asked in the video essay, but most of the times you will find a topic which is close to who you are as an individual. For example, as I told you, the goals, the challenges, the success stories, the failures, right? So this is how you should prepare the video essays for. Again, video essays are supposed to be impromptu. Not supposed to, they are impromptu. So you should not fret over preparing, rehearsing them over and over again. Rather, you should have broad ideas in your mind, and then go with the flow, right? Go with the flow. Don't overthink about the video essay. The video essay is not the make or break. The video essay is generally to get for the admission committees to figure out your communication skills, verbal communication skills. How logical are you in your thought process, right? So these are the two things which people typically, there's no right or wrong, right? Even if you do not know the world politics, but you say something which is tangential, it's okay, right? But is your thought process structured? Are you able to communicate well verbally? These are the two things which are typically evaluated in the video essay. Yes, that's about it, guys. That's about the essays. Of course, Emory requires every applicant to upload a CV as well. Typically, one page is CV. If you have less than 10 years experience, if you have more than 10 years experience, you can become more than one page. Besides this, they have 2 letter of recommendations. The letter of recommendations also encourages the recommenders to talk about your leadership skills, your strengths, how you have uniquely positioned yourself and differentiated yourself from the rest of the people who've worked with you, your areas of improvement. So do spend some time with your recommender as well. Walk him through, like I would suggest that set up a 30-minute session with the recommender, right? And choose your right recommender, right? First of all, guys, it's very important. All of you would be applying with at least 3.5 years experience. So you would have worked with multiple people, right? So figure out the right recommenders for you. Figure out recommenders whose recommendation would add value to your overall profile. For example, if you want to move from software development to consulting, talk about people who were in the more business-facing roles of software development, people who were interacting with the clients, an account manager, for example, right? Solution architect, right? So these are the people who can give some insights as to how you communicate to external stakeholders. The idea is not to communicate your brilliance in software development, because you're not applying to an MS in computer science. You're applying for an MBA program and you want to become a consultant. So your communication skills, structured problem solving, right? So these are crisis handling, right? These are aspects which a recommender should talk about based on this story. However, if your story is something different, a recommender should talk about something different. Again, choose your recommender wisely, set up time with your recommender, convey to your recommender that, hey, these are the questions. In fact, in the time you set up with the recommender, run through the recommender's responses. Right? Ask the recommender, hey, if you had to answer this, how would you answer this? Tell it to me just briefly. If at any point of time he has lost track of examples, and again, it's important the recommendations are, each of your responses, the recommendations are substantiated with appropriate examples. Just saying that you work really well in a team has no meaning, right? It has no significance. The recommender has to substantiate that with an example as to why he feels that you work well in a team. Right? So that's very important for you to communicate to the recommender. A lot of times these are first time recommenders. They have not recommended people previously and who have gone into a business school. So it's important that you tell them, you convey to them what your expectations are from the recommendation, what the school's expectations are from the recommendation, and then aid the recommender in the process of submitting a impactful recommendation letter. Right? Yeah, that's about it. And once after this entire process, people who are shortlisted are invited for interviews. Right? So again, interviews are a different ball game where again you have to be realistic. You have to show subject matter expertise. You have to show on like quick thinking. Right? Again, yeah. So all of these are different ball games. So I would suggest like take help at different stages, at all these stages, with a consultant, with alumni, with a friend, whoever. Right? But do take help. Right? You don't have to do this solo. You have to pull in other people around you who can help you in this journey, so that it becomes a cohesive inputs come in and you become really your end of the day your application becomes very impactful. Yeah, okay, thank you guys. And as far as deadlines are considered of these schools, there will be a separate section for deadlines. Do reach out to us if you need any help with the Emory Goizueta application, or for that matter any business school application. We have extensive set of consultants from different schools who help people in their application journeys by converting or translating their stories and experiences into something which the admission committee would appreciate. And so that's what we do. We love talking with people. We love to spin out stories. Right? So an admission at the end of the day, this admission process is all about storytelling. Right? So do make good stories. Write things which people will remember you for. Write things which are not generic but specific about you. And yeah, wish you all the very best for the application season, MD and otherwise, and look forward to interacting with you again in the next session. Yeah, till then, goodbye, see you, cheers, bye bye, cheers.